Welcome to the Prepare Like a Pro live chat Sunday show. My name is Jack McLean. I'm the host, and thank you for tuning into our Sunday weekly show. I will debrief on last week's live chat with Hal Marsden, the head strength and power coach and rehabilitation coordinator at Western Force, as well as announce the upcoming guests for our podcast. Firstly, a couple of big announcements. We had the draft combine. Congratulations to our ambassadors, Austin Harris, Josh Fahey, Jacob Van Rooyen and Cooper Murley, and our Prepare Like a Pro athletes Corey Preston and Paul Curtis, who had these kind words to say on our program.
Hey guys, Paul Curtis here from the Western Jets Football Club. And this year I was fortunate enough to get help from Prepare Like a Pro, helping me prepare for the draft combine. My normal week would consist of, seeing as I was trying to improve my 2K, would consist of endurance days. I'd have a feel-good day where I try and work on my running technique and just feel comfortable in running. Have my speed days. I have some injury prevention exercises, lower body sessions and upper body sessions. What I enjoyed most about the program was how Jack was quite invested in me, always checking up on me, giving me feedback. We looked at my diet, so the stuff off the field, so hydration, sleep, motivation levels and all that. So yeah, highly recommend, and yeah, I enjoyed the journey.
Hey guys, CJ here. I've been fortunate enough to work with Jack for the last 2 years preparing for last year's NAB AFL Draft Combine and then this year's NAB AFL Draft Combine. He's been absolutely amazing, helping me zone in on specific areas of what I wanted to work on, which is my endurance of the 2K time trial and the 20-metre sprint. Trying to crack that under 3 seconds has been a massive goal for me this year, and I feel like that the work that I've put in with Jack, he's just helped me skyrocket for my personal goals, which has been absolutely amazing for me. But it's not only what he's done on field for me, it's what he's done off field for me. He's been able to help me be persistent with the lockdowns that we've had, stay motivated, prepare for massive events, especially the combine this year, which was done over Strava, unfortunately, that we couldn't get out to the Holden Centre and compete against the other prospects. But also the massive one is just recovering. He's been able to give me massive influences on how to recover properly. Obviously, fueling for your next sessions massively for me as well, and the advice that he's given me so far has just been second to none. It's been really appreciative of what he's done. I've really enjoyed working with Jack. I feel like we've made a bit of a friendship, which is always, it makes it easier when you're training, when you've got basically a mate that's telling you what to do. It makes it a whole lot easier than a random coach that you've never really met before. So I feel like Jack's just helped me prepare for the combine as best as I could, and yeah, I can't appreciate the stuff that he's done for me, and yeah, he's made me really tick some boxes in my own goods, and hopefully recruiters and are happy with my improvement. And yeah, it's a massive shout out and thanks to Jack. So jump on board, get in contact with him, because he's massive. He was massive for my football development. I'm sure he can be massive for you too.
There you go, two fantastic people and unbelievable footballers that know to have bright futures ahead. So thank you, Paul Curtis and CJ Preston, for your kind words. I'd like to, thank you personally, and no doubt there's some big things ahead, and I'm happy that I played a small part in your journey. If you're interested in working with us, whether it be for next year's draft or you simply want to play at the highest level, all you need to do is to email us with the subject heading podcast to skip the queue. As we know, our podcast community are great members, so we want to make sure we're supporting you guys with your training as well. So email us at jack@preparelikeapro.com and we'll hook you up with a individualized strength and conditioning program, which was the program that those two fantastic guys were on. In terms of announcements, we've got a couple of big podcast episodes coming up on the show next week. We've got Geordie Sellar Tuesday night, who's our Adelaide-based Prepare Like a Pro coach. He's actually our most recent appointment to the team. He'll be tuning in on our podcast at 8 p.m. on Tuesday. So if you're interested to get to know Geordie, maybe you're Adelaide-based and you're looking for a coach, make sure to tune in 8 o'clock Australian Eastern Standard Time. So it'll be 7:30 p.m. for the Adelaide listeners, and that will be Tuesday on our YouTube channel, Prepare Like a Pro. We'll discuss his career journey and find out a little bit more around what he does. He's worked at the Adelaide Crows for the last few years, and now he's the high performance manager with the women's team. So really looking forward to catching up with Geordie, getting to know him more on a personal note, but also professionally as well, and diving into his philosophy and all the great things he's done in his career. We're also catching up with Pip Taylor, who's a dietitian, sports dietitian. She's worked in the AFL as well as prepared track and field athletes, Olympic-based athletes, in their physical preparation for their events. So really looking forward to catching up with her, and no doubt our listeners will get a lot out of that podcast. If you have any questions or queries for either of those guests, make sure to tune in and send in your questions via our Instagram channel. I'm more than happy to add in those questions. And if you tune in live, you can send in questions via the YouTube chat box. I know recently, the last couple of interviews, we've used Zoom and the chat box wasn't working. I'll make sure to do a better job and check the YouTube channel. So sorry about those that sent in your questions. We've just moved our Restream platform that we use for the podcast, our live chats, on Zoom, because it is much better for the viewer and the YouTube, those that are watching in the videos, because you get to see who's talking at the time. Zoom's a lot better at doing that. But in that transition, we did miss those that sent through the questions the last couple of weeks. So I'll make sure I learn from my mistakes. I won't do that again. So if you do tune in for either of those chats, send them in via the YouTube channel and I'll make sure they get asked. In terms of last week's live interview with Hal Marsden, who's the current strength and conditioning coach at Western Force, he spent 7 years at Melbourne Storm, where he was involved in 2 premierships and was a former pro athlete. So it was a really dynamic chat. Hal's got experience working in the elite sport, both as a coach but also as an athlete, which was great to dive into the athlete side of things for, I know, our listeners that are developing athletes. What does hard work look like? We really spent some time on that, and from seeing success in Melbourne Storm, Hal talked about there's levels of hard work and being able to educate developing athletes the importance of doing things when you might not feel like doing them, but you know that they're important to your future best self as an athlete is really, really important. Hal also talked about learning from your mistakes as a coach and making sure that you have mentors and you have good support around you. He mentioned Taryn, his wife, who he met and moved to Australia, and they've set up their life. We've got 2 beautiful young boys. They're happy now over in Perth. I was lucky enough to meet their whole family and work with Hal very closely at Edge Training, which is a performance gym based in Melbourne, Faranda. And he's now doing big things for Western Force. So no doubt there'll be a big season ahead. If you're interested in watching that episode, it is on our Facebook page. All you need to do is search for Australian Strength and Conditioning on Facebook, and that will be living there. And then we'll post the podcast late in November, so you'll be able to listen to the podcast interview. As I mentioned, we've got Geordie Sellar. So he is a strength and conditioning coach based in Adelaide, level 2 Australian strength and conditioning coach. He works with the Adelaide Crows AFLW. So to tune in for that chat, that'll be 8 p.m. Tuesday. And then Pip Taylor, that will be 12 p.m. Friday. She's a performance strategist, stakeholder engagement, advocacy, leadership, and a former professional athlete. Pip is currently engaged in professional high-performance sports programs, as well as providing expertise through her consultancy business across stakeholder engagement. So make sure to tune in for that one. That'll be really good to catch up with a sports dietitian for all the developing footballers out there that want to either get bigger or maybe reduce your body weight, or simply just want to fuel your training for performance. Send in your questions via our Instagram channel, and I'll make sure those questions get asked. In terms of the podcast recording next week, we've got Gaetano Faranda, who is a lecturer at Victoria University. He coordinates the program there, and he's a strength and conditioning coach that's recently worked at Williamstown Football Club in the VFL, where he was the high performance manager. We had a great chat, and it's a really informative chat for developing strength and conditioning coach. GT provides a lot of open and honest feedback on what worked for him over his career, especially early days, and the importance of making sure that you get experience no matter the level. So that was a really good practical podcast episode for developing strength and conditioning coaches. So if you are a strength and conditioning coach, personal trainer, make sure to tune in on that episode on Tuesday. GT has great experience working in semi-professional sport, but also in personal training, and now is also lecturing at Victoria University. So he's quite well adversed across all the different roles that you can do in the industry. And then on Friday, we have Anthony Koutoufides, the AFL legend, that will launch on our podcast next Friday. We talked about how Kouta started playing the game, how his neighbours introduced he and his brother into the game of football. He grew up in more a soccer-based family, so his parents weren't too fan of the AFL game to start with, but he mentioned how his father got involved later on when he saw the game and saw how good Kouta was. His love for athletics and how that developed his ability as a footballer. He noticed the speed and power and athleticism that he had really helped his game, and he felt like athletics had a lot to do with it. And how he had a strong love for competing and had a lot of success with it too. And how he nearly quit the game just before winning the 1995 Premiership. He was in and out of the team, wasn't playing in what he felt was his best position, and he was dealing with a lot of frustration. So he has empathy for athletes that are going through a hard time and may not be loving the game. And he talked about the importance of persistence and sticking at it. And those periods of your career really build you up and allow you to have a strong mental game and good resilience to be able to handle those tough times. You mentioned no matter what your career is going to look like, you're going to have those challenging times. So working through those and working with a sports psychologist, which Kouta did, which was well ahead of his time, and his strong trust for relying on people around him, or not relying, sorry, but open to people around him giving him advice, and then Kouta going away and doing it. So he talked about journaling and how that helped his game. So it was something that was really good for the listeners and developing footballers. This is an episode you definitely don't want to miss. So make sure to tune in for that one. And we also talked about a lot of the work that Kouta's doing with Kouta Fit, helping people live a healthy and fit life, which is so important now with lockdowns. Obviously, your health is always important, but particularly now, mental and physical health is so important. So to have guys like Kouta who are so inspiring, it's great to have them in the industry, helping people live a better life. So thank you for tuning in. For those that want to listen to those episodes, we'll premiere the episodes the night before. So for GT, tune in 8 p.m. on Monday on our YouTube channel. For those that are subscribed to the YouTube channel, you'll be notified when that episode is live. And then for the Kouta episode that's released on our podcast on Friday, the premiere on our YouTube channel will be on Thursday night, also at 8 p.m. So make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel for those that aren't. There's also a new app that you can now download. It's just been released earlier in the week, and it's called Wisdom. You can follow us at Prepare Like a Pro. I'll be debriefing all our chats after our live interviews, and you can join me live on the Wisdom app if you want to debrief the episode with me. So if you're watching our live chats, our Prepare Like a Pro live chats on our YouTube channel, and you want to join me on the Wisdom app, just follow us on that Wisdom app. It's got a purple logo. There seems to be people all around the world tuning in for educational platforms in health, fitness, business, and how to improve things like productivity, but also your mental and physical health for performance. So it's a new app. I think it's going big places, and Prepare Like a Pro is giving it a go. So looking forward to seeing where that app and that platform goes. And like I said, I'll be debriefing all the live chats that we have. I'll spend about 5 minutes at the end of each one going on the Wisdom app and debriefing the takeaways that I had from that episode. So if you're keen, make sure to jump over to the Wisdom app. And for those that are interested, we've got a new playlist coming up in November for our podcast. It's going to be an educational based platform, and it will be labeled the Get Better Plan. We'll have topics such as nutrition, how to improve your recovery on things like sleep and mobility, but also we'll have there'll be strength and conditioning based work, how to improve your strength and power in the gym, how to improve your repeat speed and aerobic capacity with your conditioning. So there'll be all topics that are important for footballers and also strength and conditioning coaches that want to work in elite sport. So this will be a new platform. The podcast will release November 3rd, and we'll release a new episode every Wednesday. For those listening to our free podcast, you'll have 50% of the podcast, or around half, and you'll get access to that for free. If you really enjoyed that episode and you got a lot out of it, you can purchase that episode from our website, where we have the presentation recording and the activity notes to do for that, so tasks to complete for that presentation. And for our Academy members, those subscribed on our Patreon platform, you'll have access to the whole episode. So you'll be able to listen to it now on podcast, like you've been watching it on the private Vimeo link. You'll now be able to listen to those on podcast, which I know is something that Academy members have been asking for. So if you're interested in joining the Patreon subscription, check it out. It's a link and a video is in our Instagram bio, and the support means a lot. I'll see you guys on the next episode. Jack here. Just a quick video on what we do here at Prepare Like a Pro. We are a strength and conditioning business that works specifically with footballers. What we're trying to do here at Prepare Like a Pro is connect AFL standard training to everyone. So you can follow those programs by working with a coach, or by following our app, which is an online program. Thanks again for following, and looking forward to helping you along your journey.